Okay, so we're recording. I'm just gonna log into my Gmail. So you do need a Gmail account to use Google Docs and to even view them that others might send to you. So if you don't have a Gmail account already, it's worthwhile just because all of these apps that I'm looking at in these series, you can access through your Gmail account. So hang on, I'll log in here and then I'll share my screen. Okay, so I'm gonna start like right at the very beginning of things, and that's how you even get to Google Docs.
There's a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Does this mean that if I want to deal with Google Docs and a friend of mine, that person has to have Gmail?
To edit it, they do.
I believe. Oh, fine.
You can set it up so that you can view the document without needing a Gmail account. But if you want to like comment on things or edit on things or really work together on a document, then yeah, you'll need every person editing it to have a Gmail account.
Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah.
You're welcome. So there's two primary ways you can find your Google Docs. And the easiest way for you to access them, just your whole library of docs that you may have, is just to type in as a web address, docs.google.com. And that will take you to this little hub. You can also always just Google Docs and it will come up and bring you to where you want to go. It's also worth noting that you can also find anything that, any Google Doc that you make or you look at is going to come up here. So even if you're not the owner of it, somebody else has arrived. Even if you're not the owner of it, you see this little owned by anyone category. It will show you the most recent documents that you've opened. So this is all stuff that I've looked at through the library, whether I created those documents or not. The other place that these will come up is in your Google Drive. Some of you might be familiar with that. That's basically a composite of, you know, your documents, your sheets, your photos sometimes. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can be held there. And that list is alphabetical, just A to Z. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one is based upon the most recent ones you've opened. So that part's pretty straightforward. Does anybody have questions so far?
Yes, the most recent ones are arranged then by time.
Yes.
And the other is A to Z. So something you might want to look at in a year, you'd rather have an A to Z rather than go through all that you've done.
Not getting any audio, Eric. I'm
sorry? We're hearing you. Is your computer volume you might need to turn on, which you couldn't hear me anyway. If I hang on one sec, folks.
This screen is different than the one that I get when I go through Google Drive. Because
yes.
because that one asked me for mine versus someone else. So
I'll test my volume.
Okay, we definitely hear you.
Oh, I know what I need.
Okay, anyway, so on the question of A to Z, if you want things sorted by A to Z in your actual documents,
okay,
there is...
I'll play with it a bit.
Okay, Scott. There is a button here. You can sort it by A to Z in your actual docs library.
Okay.
That's if you don't want the most recent one you opened to be there.
But it will default to most recent?
It will, yes.
Okay.
You can also look at it in a list view, and that just makes it so that you only see the title. So you can see more of them in a big long list. So that's once you start really amassing documents, you might be inclined to look at it that way. And then you can kind of scroll through a lot more dates. So I'll go back to the grid view. And now if you wanted to make a new document, you would just go to this blank right here. It says start a new document, blank. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. What you're going to notice is that in a lot of ways it looks very similar to Microsoft Word.
Mhm.
It's built kind of in the same interface. So let's see. On a really basic level, you know, you have your title up here. It's set up to kind of default to the first thing you type. So if I were to start typing my document and try to leave by going to the Docs Home button in this top left corner, it would default just name it, you know, whatever the first sentence is that I put.
Hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and type practice up here.
Mhm.
And so another thing to kind of note, a benefit to using Google Docs is that it pretty much, as long as you're connected to the internet, saves everything that you change about the document as you go. So you don't have to worry about, you know, the power cutting out and all of a sudden all of your changes are gone because you haven't been saving regularly, right? Like you do on Microsoft Word. So it saves as you go. I think for the most part, everything that you would want to sort of adjust in your document, you'll find somewhere on this toolbar that they've set up for you. Let's see. And then anything else that you could possibly need to know how to do on this is going to be in these other kind of menus. The primary ones you'll want to know about are edit.
Okay, fine.
So these undo and redo buttons are really helpful for as you're going, if you've made a mistake, you can undo your mistake. It saves time sometimes if you're trying to remember what sentence did I just have before I erased it. So for example, if I say,
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay. Good.
and then I move on, blah, blah, blah. And let's say I erase this and new sentence. If I do Control Z or this undo button, I'll do it again. I'll do it again. Whoops. So basically that just helps you kind of, if you erased a sentence, you want to get it back, you can undo.
You just back up, back up. Okay. Now this is basically this is like a Word document.
It is. The more you think of it as a Word, it's like a Word document that's connected to the internet.
Okay. Okay. But there is an equivalent of Excel.
Yes, that's called Sheets.
Sheets. Okay.
Yep. I think the reason why Google Docs has kind of become a lot more popularly used is because it's so much easier to share like living drafts with people.
Yeah. Okay.
So you avoid the business of every time you make updates to a Word document, you would have to save it and send it via email.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's connected to the internet, if you have multiple people looking at and editing a document, it's kind of all in real time for everyone. You don't have to do that work of saving it and sending it via email over and over again.
Well, after 30 years of doing Word, Windows, it takes a bit of weaning away from it to get to Google Docs.
Right. And there are definitely some changes or some differences in how you set up documents and stuff, but it does look, they've set it up to be similar.
Just like it, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the other kind of important toolbar areas I wanted to show you just briefly is this insert button.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that you would want to insert in a document is going to be found here, whether it's images, you can upload them from your computer, or you can search Google's kind of repository. You can put in tables, drawings, which I don't think you'd ever really need to do, charts, lines,
Nice,
wanted to do section breaks, footnotes, which it kind of puts a little section in the footer that you can fill in, special characters, so whether it's math symbols or other language characters, headers and footers, page numbers, a page break, links. If you want to link to a website, you would just say library website. You can highlight it. And a lot of this stuff, you know, there's a little symbol here that you can do it without having to go through the toolbar. So you could go to insert link, and I'll say mysticnoinklibrary.org. So now anybody looking at this document can kind of, but I think that's a good example of just showing there is a button already set up on your home page to be able to do that. And if you hover your mouse over any of these little icons, it will tell you what they do. So I mean, the major stuff when making a document, you know, your font style, your size, whether you want to bold, italics, underline, the text color, putting in a link, all that stuff is right at the top.
Yeah.
Can I cut and paste from another Word document into this?
Yes. So you can either, so let me actually try to make another one. So, oops. So I'll just type your question. It also doesn't actually have to be from another document. You could copy and paste stuff from a website or taking notes in a PDF or something like that. So you can highlight it, right click, copy, and then go back to your other document.
Okay,
Right click, paste.
cool.
With pasting text in particular, it's also good to know this. Unless you kind of tell the computer what to do, it will take the styling of the text that you just grabbed from another website and keep it the same in your document. So a way around that is when you right click, there's this paste without formatting option.
Oh, okay.
That can be super helpful because instead of, if you're grabbing from a whole bunch of different websites, it's going to keep the styling from all those different websites. So if you paste without formatting, I mean, it looks the same here because I had the same formatting set up.
Yeah.
But it will keep it in the styling that you've set up for your particular document.
That means it sort of translates it into your handwriting rather than somebody else's.
Yes, yep.
So it looks more even.
Yeah, so it has the same styling throughout the document.
There's also an advantage to leaving it unchanged, and that is you can tell those are different voices speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then obviously, I mean, you wouldn't want to, that's good for pulling notes and whatever. You obviously wouldn't want to publish or plagiarism, you know, all that good stuff. That's a different seminar, I think. So the other thing to note is that there's this help button. I think Google does a really good job with their help topics. In this little search bar up here, you can, if there's something you're trying to do that you're not sure where to find it. So I'll put, for example, page numbers. So it will search through everything and come up with the kind of different topics that you might be trying to find. So I'm going to do this one, insert page number in footer starting on the second page, which is often something you might want to do if you have a title page.
Yeah.
Did it go ahead and just set that up? What happened?
Didn't see anything.
Oh, it has a check on it.
Let's see.
Page number. Okay, well that one worked. Oh, okay, well, so page numbers, it gives you all these options. You can start at page 2. Apply. There we go. And you can format where they go. Anyway, they also have a little training page that you can go to. And they have basics. You can get started with that, which is a lot more thorough than what I can get through in an hour, but they really break it down. You know, it's set up like a fully realized lesson plan where you can learn it step by step.
And you get this through help training?
Yep.
These, okay.
Yeah, help, and once my Zoom thing goes away, oops. What was it called? Yeah, training.
Okay.
There's also this Docs help page. So they make it really
it's like
accessible.
Yeah.
Okay, so oops, somebody has something. Okay, I'll go back. The other thing I wanted to point out are these templates here. So this is just right when you go to your Docs homepage, right at the top, where you have the option to make a blank document. It's worth looking through these templates. I'm going to expand it here with the template gallery. I think if you can save time, no matter what it is, you might as well do that. They have, you know, a whole bunch of templates that you can look through, and whether it's a letter or it's project proposal, brochure, newsletter, and then you can change the text as you want, because the by far the biggest time consumer with stuff like this is the formatting. So if you don't have to waste all your time figuring out how to format the ins and outs of your document, I would much prefer to focus on the text of it.
Is it possible to take one that you've already formatted in Word and transfer it here?
Yes, so you might have to do that in your Drive. I'm not sure if you can upload right here. Let me see. You might be able to drag and drop it in. Let me see if I have a good example at the ready here. Let me try to just drag this in. No, it doesn't look like it accepted it into here,
Okay.
but you can do it in your Drive. And then it gives
Google
you the
Drive.
option.
Okay.
Yep, in Google Drive. And then Word documents that are in your Google Drive, it gives you the option to open them as a doc.
Yes, which I've always done, but I need to wean myself off of that.
Fair enough. Okay, so the templates, the idea of the templates is just kind of like, why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to?
Yeah.
I always suggest people who are building resumes to do that, because resumes kind of,
Something else, okay.
resumes, I'll just mute you for a sec, Sarah. Resumes have a very particular look. It can take a long time to set that up, and even if you try to do it yourself, sometimes it doesn't look as good as some of the templates. Okay. Yes, Karen.
In the past, when I've tried to use templates, I think it was in Word, I'm not sure. Sometimes they don't want to let me type in, for example, I'll start on project page, project name on that greenish one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over in the first row.
Are you looking at the ones in front of me right now?
Yes, on your screen, yeah.
Oh, so this project proposal one?
Right. Now, do I have to delete project name, or can I just type on it?
Oh, so I'll open that up right now as an example.
Yeah.
You should be able to just highlight it and type right over it.
Oh, you have to highlight and type over. Okay.
Or you can, backspace, just
yeah, okay.
delete it. So I'll put using. And then things like this, you can leave it alone, or you can, there's this really helpful replace image button up here. So that's really great because sizing everything and getting it to work nicely with your text, sometimes that is its own nightmare, especially on Microsoft Word, where you adjust something by 3 pixels and all of a sudden it ends up on the next page or the text all runs away somewhere. Okay, so the last thing I definitely want to make sure that I get to before I open it up to just questions is how to share your document with people. So I'll go back to this practice.
Thanks.
The share button is just right at the top right-hand corner there. Depending on how your Zoom is set up, you might see our faces in front of it instead of the what I'm trying to click on here. But when you go to share, the important thing to remember is, so with this little thing here, share with people in groups, you can type in people with Gmail accounts if you want to share it to them directly. However, I think most often you end up using the link option down here. So you'll notice that it says restricted, only people added can open with this link. That's kind of the default setting. So you have to manually change to anyone with the link. And so you can copy it, you could paste it into an email with somebody. Often what I'll do with the link is, say you're trying to put something on a website that you add content to, you can put a link in your text and you can embed this link into that, and then people can click on whatever you've put and it brings them to your document.
Could you show again which one, because my pictures were covering it.
Oh, okay. So you can minimize those. If you hover over the pictures of us, you can hit that little minus to hide the thumbnails.
Oh, okay. I guess no, that's not my question. Which icon did you use up in the upper right?
It's this blue button that says share. It has like,
okay.
Yep.
It's so obvious. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. It's obvious till you're looking for it, and then somehow there's like a blank spot there.
See it, the share button.
It's the top right of the screen. It's probably hidden under the Zoom.
Under the picture box. Yep, got it.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so again, you'll change it so that anyone on the internet with the link can view. And then if you're trying to share a document with people you want to edit with you, you're going to want to change, there's this little box that says viewer. So you can change that to any of these 3 options. That's basically looking at the editing rights, or it says who's allowed to do what, basically. So if you have a document that is fixed and you don't want people to accidentally change things on it, like something you would upload to your website, you'd probably want to leave this at viewer. If you're sending it to people, you want their input, but you don't necessarily want them to change anything in the document, you could put commenter and then email the link out to people. Or if you're working with a group on a kind of a document that's evolving as you go, you can select editor. In which case, it's always a good idea, if you have multiple people working on a document, you can assign different people text color. So group member 1 might be black, somebody might be blue, somebody might be purple, whatever it is. And that way you can tell who's working on what piece. I feel like there was one more thing I wanted.
Where do you put in their email address that you're sharing it with?
So if you're sharing the link, you would just copy and paste this link into an email.
Into a regular email. Okay.
You can share it with people in groups, but you just have to remember that it's only people with Gmail accounts are really gonna be able to access it that way.
Okay, so I was told that one of the benefits of doing this is that our information is more secure than if we sent it via email or texting. Like, say I have a list of club members with all of their addresses and phone numbers and everything. People were saying they didn't want that sent via email. They wanted it sent via Google Docs because it was more secure. But if you're still doing it by email, how is that more secure?
I can't really speak to that part of it. I'm not really sure. I think maybe they're talking about, yeah, I'm not going to, I can't really answer that question. I could look up, if you email me after, I can look up security
No,
concerns.
that's okay. Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I think there was one more thing to comment on things. That's kind of the last, I think that's a really helpful feature of this. If you want to comment on something, you would highlight the text you want to comment on specifically. And you'll notice when I highlight the text, this little button appears over here.
Oh, okay.
And it pops up and says right there to add a comment. You can also find comments up here in insert. And the comment option is right there. So once you click that button, if you have a Gmail account, your Gmail account will show up there. You can say kind of, whoops. Go ahead and comment it, and everybody will see, off to the side here, who said what comment. And then once it's resolved, you can click this little check mark, or you can go in and edit or delete the comment if you need to. Yes.
Are you ready for questions?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the time. Now I've covered my, okay, there we go. So that's right, it's 4:30. So I think those are the 4 basic pieces: how to access it, making a new document, using the templates, and then sharing. Mm-hmm. So I can do specific questions now.
Okay, someone sent me a document, and I think it was actually in Excel, because it had a bunch of, it was a form, and then she filled in parts of it. But recently I got a new Mac, and it's got Pages.
Yep.
Which I tried to work with it. So if I took her document, how would I put it into Docs to edit it, or can I do that?
You're trying to put in a Pages document or a Word document?
Hers was a Word.
Okay, so let me actually, I'm gonna go into Drive so that you can all kind of see this. I tried to just add it to your Docs sort of library here. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I'm able to upload. Nope. Download. So you can download, I guess that's another helpful thing to point out. If you go to File here, you can download your Google Doc as a Word document or as a PDF. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like they give you an upload option, so we'll have to look at that in the Drive. But okay. So if you do go to Drive,
I had an idea that might work, but I couldn't figure out how to do it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm using this job seeking webinar document in my files here. You can just click and drag and see it pops up. You'll know it's working correctly if this little plus pops up.
Okay, so you click and grab.
Yeah, so that's gonna upload.
And where did you have that? I forgot, I didn't know. You had that in your files.
Right, so that was on my computer.
So you downloaded it at some point, or you created it?
I probably downloaded it from an email, but I could have created it too.
Yeah, so I could put it in downloads, for example, and then get it from there and drag it into Docs.
Yes, yep. Okay. So now it pops up right here. Oops. Now, if you right click it, I think if you just double click it, it pretty much opens, it opens it up automatically as a doc. Yeah, and it retains this little heading here, docx format, but you're able to share it in the same way as a Google Doc. And it's laid out here in the same way. It may form, so one thing to point out though is that some of the formatting might change if you, so it's not the greatest for, I guess I would just be aware of where you're creating new stuff and just try to be consistent with it. Because for example, this one, I'm pretty certain it was probably a one-page advertisement at first. And now because I've transferred it from the .docx into Google Docs, it's made it funky and broken it up into 2 pages. So stuff like that, it's important to be mindful of, because you can't really control that too much.
Yeah. But you can still comment and edit it then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So when somebody sends me a Google Doc on an email, what's it going to look like?
It depends on whether they've embedded it as a link you click on, or if they've done that little, if they've put your email in here, share with people in groups.
Yeah.
If they've done it that way, it'll be an email that says something like, so-and-so is requesting to share a document with you. And it has like a little window that shows you the name of it. Excuse me. And then it will say like open file.
Okay.
If it's just a link, you just click on it and it will bring you right to the document.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other specific questions about using this?
It's not exactly this, but my son sends me gift suggestions for his kids, and they're in Drive. Can I type over to show that I have, I'm going to buy that gift, for example?
You could comment on it.
Ah, okay.
So when you say it's in Drive, it looks like a document though, right? Like
Well, his is like, looks like more like a
spreadsheet?
things, yeah.
Yep, okay, so that means he's put it in like a Google Sheet. I'm pretty sure you can still comment on stuff in Google Sheets though, and you would go to that, you would highlight, you know, the title of the gift or whatever, and you could insert a comment.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Other specific questions or things that you wanted to use Google Docs to make? Maybe I don't know, I'll leave that open-ended.
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
So, okay, I was following this woman. She's a freelancer, and she was talking about using Google Docs, and she would send it to her clients. And sometimes they would note how many hours it took her to work on the project. And she really was kind of getting frustrated because they were like, oh, it only takes you an hour, but really it takes her longer than that. So she was sharing the document, not like she was, I think, cleaning up the document to some extent and showing them just like the final. And I didn't know if there's like a way to do that so that you share with them so they can see what you've done, but they don't know, time or whatever in your.
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a way you can look at the version history of your document.
Okay.
And you do that by going to File, and then it's right here, version history, and you can take a look and see all the different like manifestations, I guess. So I think that would be really helpful for freelancing, because you can actually click and see what the document looks like at each sort of like timestamp. So it's like you have the receipts on record.
Okay.
And they even give you the option to restore a version if you want to backtrack in time or whatever.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I know.
Eric?
Since I have Pages, I may go out and buy Word because it's just such a pain in the neck. But believe me, it would be much better for me to do things in Docs then, wouldn't it? So other people can get it and I don't have to go in and change it to a PDF and all that.
Yeah, right. You might check too, you might be able to drag Pages into the Drive the same way and open it as a doc. I'm not certain though.
Yeah, okay, I could try that.
I've still managed to avoid Pages at this stage.
Well, I thought, I got this brand new computer, right? I'll do what they say. Wrong idea.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. But yeah, I would give it a try. You might be able to just drag the Pages document into your Drive the same way I did with the Word, and then you could open it as a Google Doc, and then you wouldn't have to bother buying the Microsoft Office subscription.
Expensive.
Yeah, I think they probably changed that to like, I know a lot of the subscriptions where you used to just buy the CD, now they've moved to like annual pricing models instead. Oh, Sarah, you're still muted. Oops, I don't know if you were going to say something.
Unmuted?
Oh,
Doesn't
now
look like it.
But the other gal had her hand up in the corner.
Oh, Patty, sorry, I can't see everybody at once.
Okay. My question is there a lot of worry about stealing other people's work this way?
That's probably complicated to answer. Short answer, I would say probably yes.
Uh-huh.
I think if you're willing to put a document up on a website in particular, for example, if I made a resource list of something, right, and I uploaded that document, or I shared it as a link to the library website, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to put anything there that I considered to be like personal work, or, you know, I don't quite know how to put it. If I'm putting a resource online to be freely accessed and freely available, I'm probably not looking for a return cash on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, at that point, anybody can kind of take that information and use it elsewhere. So if you do have the documents that you don't want that kind of free access to, then you would want to share it with only specific people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there is a good way of limiting your sharing.
Yep, and the
That's
way you
probably useful to do most of the time because you don't want to be out there in front of the whole world.
Yeah, and so that's the way you would want to share it with people's emails, rather than doing the link. Because the link, even if you share the link with people who you reasonably trust, I feel like you can probably, based on who you send it to, know that they're not going to share it elsewhere. But sharing it with only specific emails is a good way to ensure that it's not going to go elsewhere from there. And then hang on one sec. I saw that there was somebody had written in the chat. Now I can't find my chat. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. Does a reviewer have to have a Google account? I don't. I'm thinking that by reviewer you mean a Scott, you probably mean a like a commenter, right? You're on mute, so I'm not totally certain. I think that people can view and comment without having a Google account, but they need one to be able to edit. And I'm not actually totally positive about commenting. You might need a Google account to comment as well. I'm sure I can look that up really quickly though. Yes, commenter. This is because some people still don't use Gmail if their email is Yahoo or some such. Yes, this is true. I might have to follow up with you on that. I think that they can comment and it will come up. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this. If you log on to a doc that's heavily used, you found it on a link online or something like that, it will show you in the corner who else is on the document. And if it's a document that it's people who don't have their names on the account, it says goofy little things like Orange Panda is reading the document. And so that's its way of showing you that people are looking at it, but it's like anonymous as to who they are. So I think you would be able to comment, and it would probably say something like Orange Panda. It made the following comment. I'm still trying to see. I might have to do that one through actually doing it though. Yeah, I'll let me make note of that, and I'll follow up in an email about whether or not you can.
Eric, is it
Yes.
useful for one to get a stage name for doing this, or just, you know, choose Orange Panda for yourself? Or, I mean, do you have another name that you use when you don't want to be identified?
I have a few different, I have like a work Gmail account. I have a personal Gmail account. I have like a side project Gmail account. If I had a pen name, I would probably have a pen name Google account. They are free. So it's, you know, there's no real penalty to making multiple accounts based on the level of privacy or forwardness you want to have with your name. It's really helpful if you have some sort of like work related or nonprofit related, you know, company related, whatever it is, to set up a Gmail specifically for that. And then you can fill it in as though you're an organization commenting on things or creating things rather than an individual. But I think it's, you know, more up to your comfort level. I don't have a problem leaving comments and such with my personal Gmail account, but I don't really do it that often because it doesn't really come up that much, right? Unless it's communicating with people that I'm already making projects or documents and stuff with. Let me finish writing down Scott's question or I will forget. Does anybody else have other questions about?
So this was really helpful. It was a really good overview for a beginner. It was really
Okay, good, great, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that you could take all our questions was fantastic.
I'll do my best anyway. I'll follow up with anything I can't answer now.
Yeah.
Patty,
Eric, how do you recommend we start? Say we want to have a little training session for ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Would it be better? I mean, I'm lucky that I have children that I can ask questions to and grandchildren, and they're more than happy to help me. But
Oh, is that a hint of sarcasm?
well, they
28-year-old, right?
yeah, they know everything, you know. and really they often do. But I'd like to know, just say I'm going to have a practice session. What do I do? What am I going to do? I'm not clear why I need to do this.
Oh, why you need to do...
I mean, I write tons of emails and texts every day.
do you mean why you would use Google Docs?
Yes.
So it's good if you're, I don't know, making letters, building lists, anything that you would want to work on with a group of people on. So maybe you're making a book list or something with, you have a book club and you're trying to make a list of potential reads. You could have a whole bunch of people adding books to that list. That's one example. It could be a list of websites that are helpful about a certain topic. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different stuff that you could do with it. I know a lot of people will use it on, like, you know, project development or if they're doing proposal writing, right? If they have a grant proposal that they're working on, you can all build different pieces of that proposal at the same time. Anything that you would want to print, I guess, but even more than that, because you don't have to, I guess one of the things to point out about the Google Doc is that you don't necessarily have to think of it as product based. It can be like a process for working with people remotely. Like, it might not even be that you're using the Google Doc to make a proposal. You're using a Google Doc to just collect ideas from everybody about a thing that you're trying to do. So it's almost like having an email, back and forth email with a bunch of people about things, except it just lives on this one document.
It sounds like a very good idea, and I will say that I'm on a lot of email lists where there may be 20 or 30 people on the list, and the emails are sent out to all of those people, and I know how to answer each one separately if I want to speak to one of them privately, but it just seems like a whole lot of kind of internal paperwork having all these emails go back and forth, and I think this system is going to get rid of that problem or help with it.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even set up like a table of contents in the Google Docs. So in fact, let me just show you what that looks like. I'll go back to sharing here. So now I can't see. So if you notice on the left side, it says headings you add to the document will appear here. So the way you add, the quickest way for me to add headings is this, there's this styles box up here. So if you go to any of these heading categories, I'll just go to heading 1 because it's really big. Anything that you type out in that font style is going to come up on the left with a table of contents thing. So I'll just put project, and it kind of pops up right there. And you can build subheadings too. So if I do the next lowest thing, context. So you can start building like a table of contents off to the left, and you can't really see here because I don't have a number of pages, but another heading could be beginning. So then when you're on that first page, as you start to populate this table of contents, you can click on it and it will bring you to that page. You don't have to spend your time scrolling through this whole huge document. That's probably one of the trickier things to really get like a handle on in Google Docs, but I think it's really helpful once you do, especially if you have a really, really long, document that it's helpful for people to be able to find a particular section. So you could use dates if you're tracking, emails or something like that. If you're using this as like to keep up with meeting notes or I don't know, something like that, you could put it all in one document and just use as the heading the date. And then you could just bounce around to whatever date you needed to look at. I'm going to stop sharing again so I can look at the chat.
Eric,
Yes.
on the printing, will my printer read the Google Doc to print, or do I have to connect it?
Do you have is your printer wireless or is it you plug it into your computer?
Plug it in.
Then yeah, it will, as long as it's being detected, on Microsoft Word or wherever else you would print, it will detect it here as well. And you find it in the same place. You go to File, Print, just like you would with Microsoft Word.
And how can I put this icon on my desktop?
Actually, I think you can do that. Let me just, oops, won't let me minimize while I'm recording. Okay. Let me try to look. Have you ever put a website icon on your desktop before for any website? It might be for your banking, or it might be for, the library website or whatever it is. Have you ever done that?
A while ago, I don't remember how to do it. That's why.
I always have to double check and remember how to do it again too. And it depends on your browser. Like if you use Chrome, it might be slightly different from Firefox or what's the other one, Explorer.
Yep.
But
I'm in Chrome. So can I ask Google that question and they could tell me?
yeah, that's another one I can follow up with too. And we have like 9 minutes or so left if there are any other questions that didn't get answered.
How do I access training after we close?
You open a new document, you go to help. There is that training section right underneath it. And I will say Google, they have a number of issues on other matters like privacy and selling your information and all of that good stuff, which is yet another topic entirely. But they are really good about providing tutorials and like lesson plans that are really comprehensive and show you how to do a particular thing.
Thank you.
And I don't mean that as like they're going to sell your information in your private documents. I mean like they collect your browsing data and all that stuff to sell to vendors. Somebody had asked, maybe it was Karen, I can't quite remember who had asked about the issue of privacy of things going over emails versus having it in a doc. I think that person was probably referring to if you have a document with private information in it and you share it only specifically with certain people, that would be more secure than sharing the link where you enable anyone with the link to view it, because you don't know if that link could be shared outside of that email.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think that might have been what the person was referring to, but I'm not totally sure.
It is.
It is.
Oh,
I'd like to communicate with 1, 2, or 3 maybe people on a long list of people who got an email, say recently, and I wanted to answer back to a few, but I didn't want everybody to know what I was saying. So I just listed them in the email send out, and I couldn't really reply to all. I just replied to one at a time, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah. And Michael, I see your question in the chat. I just wanted to, I guess I'll throw this out to everybody as well. It might be useful. I think a lot of people are starting to buy Chromebooks as a cheap computer option, because Chromebooks, they don't really have a whole lot of built-in like memory. They're basically, the reason why they're so cheap is because it's almost like a tablet. You don't have a lot of built-in memory. They're pretty much using only internet apps.
That's what the kids use at school now.
Right. And that's because they're fairly affordable. And that's why so many of the kids use Google Docs as well, because it's, Google Chromebook, Google Docs, it's all like, built in together. That being said, I don't know how that would affect Microsoft Word. Word is almost playing like catch up now, because Google Docs has shifted in this way that Microsoft now, they also have like cloud-based versions of what is it, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So I don't quite know in terms of compatibility, but Michael, for example, if you had somebody send you a doc, you would be able to, you should be able to open it as a Google Doc. So that's just something that comes to mind really quickly is the Chromebook option. They're affordable options for like basic computing needs.
Would I be able to open it in Chromebook? A Google Doc?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing in the.
If I had a Chromebook, would I be able to open it up if someone sends me something with a Word document?
You would be able to open a Google Doc. I'm not sure about Word, and questions about like specific. I always tell people too. I'm not a computer science person. I don't know a ton about computers other than how to use them for things like this. So that's something if you wanted to email me after, I could send you some articles or helpful resources, but I'd probably opt to pass that one on to people who would know more.
Mhm.
Oh, also Michelle sent along something helpful about creating a Google Docs icon on, so thank you, Michelle, for being able to Google that while I was talking. And I'm gonna copy and paste this so that I can send it out in an email. But it looks like to create the icon on your desktop, you would right click an empty area on your desktop and then select new shortcut. And then you would enter the web address to whatever it is you're trying to get to. And I'm gonna copy and paste that to me right now. Just one sec. Okay. Any other last minute questions?
Where did you put that?
Put what?
What you said you were just sharing.
Oh, I put it in an email to myself so I don't forget to send it along to all of you.
Oh, okay. I'm looking and looking.
Yeah, no. I'll probably send the follow-up email either late tonight or early tomorrow morning, and that'll give me time to process the recording as well. But
Great.
I will follow up.
Thank you.
That's great.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Homework.
I signed up for something
Homework,
else
right.
too, the sheets, I think it was.
Say that again, Karen?
I signed up for another one.
Yeah, there's one on forms next Monday and one on slides the Monday after that.
Yeah, forms I think will be very helpful.
Yeah, that one is really useful for surveying and I mean all sorts of stuff.
Okay, great. I'll have to make sure I did sign up for it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
A lot of info, but very helpful.
Oh, glad to hear it. Yeah. And you can always follow up for other questions. And I do offer those book a librarian appointments if you wanted to get a half-hour appointment time help on like one specific thing. Those are on our website calendar as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
night,
much.
everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye-bye.
You're
This
welcome.
was really great.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
I
take
guess
care.
I can almost say good night. It's already dark out. That's terrible.
Oh, I know it. That's my least favorite part of the season change, but
Okay.
all right.